Okay, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Your boy been away for a while because I've been having some surgery on me foot. The state of Gus. Look at him. He's nearly died because I've been away that long. An Achilles injury can be one of the most debilitating injuries you can sustain because essentially it renders you immobile for a long period of time and it can take months to heal. I recently had surgery on my Achilles, and in this video I'm going to talk about exactly what I've had done, some things I wish I'd have known at the start, and some tips that I found useful to help you recover more quickly so you can get back to doing the things that you love. Some background. So the year's 2016. I've just come off 2 labrum tears on my right shoulder, which took about 7 months to heal all in all. I put on a fair few kilograms of weight and I didn't do any sort of warm-up or prehab, and I didn't do a phase return to sport. I just went straight back to running. Looking back, I think this is what caused my injury, because I do remember one of the first few sessions trying to run again after my shoulder. I'd gone from doing several sprint sessions a week, so I used to weigh about 97, 98 kilograms, whereas I think when I came back after my shoulder surgeries I was about 125, so I'd put on a fair bit of weight. I remember after the first few running sessions my Achilles was really sore, but you know, when you're young you just think you can power through it, and that's what I tried to do. I went back to running the following sessions and thought nothing of it. So the thing is, you've got to listen to your body. If I'd have realised what was happening at the time, I would have known to stop, prehab a bit, warm up properly, and I don't think any of this would have happened. 2017 to 18. Now, I appreciate 2 years sounds like a long time. In this period, I was moving around quite a lot with work. I think I saw 2 to 3 physios during this point. I was quite consistent with rehab during 2017 and 2018, but this is where I started to use Shockwave as a way to try and get myself back. Shockwave, if you've not had it, is essentially like a fast repeating gun that they put on your Achilles. It vibrates quite rapidly and they put it on your Achilles to try and treat tendinopathy. It works for some people. The efficacy of Shockwave isn't bad, but for me, I had I think about 15 sessions and it didn't do anything. 2019. I'd moved around again with work, and this time to try and get some consistency, I found an online physio who specialised specifically in Achilles problems. With this guy I felt a lot more confident about progress and things we were doing because he was very amenable to milestones and goals. It's a massive red flag when physios aren't amenable to goals and things like that, because their only job is to get you better, so they should welcome your input. So this guy, even though my initial thoughts were very positive, I did start to have my doubts because after about 4 or 5 months of sessions, I wasn't really seeing any improvement. So it made me start to wonder if things could be fixed or what else I needed to do, or maybe go in a different direction. 2020, things really went south this year because the thing is, I could always walk pain-free. I never had any problems throughout all this time, even though I knew I had an Achilles problem. I never had any issues walking. It was just running really. So I did find that this year things really went south and I started to find I was getting increased pain just walking around, and things got so bad to the point where I could literally go for about a 20-minute walk and then things would really flare up. It got to the point where it was just ruining my life. It was just ruining my life completely, and it was at this point I knew I really needed to try and do something drastic to make things better. 2021 this year, so all conservative measures had failed. I tried osteal injections, which I did see some improvement from, but not loads. I'd done eccentrics to death. I'd done Shockwave. I'd done everything that was conservative, and all conservative measures were failing. Therefore, in February, March 2021, I went to see, in my opinion, the best foot surgeon in the country, who recommended I have a surgery to remove my plantaris completely out of my Achilles and also have a debridement, which is quite a nasty procedure where essentially they open your Achilles and they remove all the adhesions and sort of sand it down. Now, the surgery itself, for those people who haven't had surgery, essentially what you do is you go to hospital as a day case. You usually get there 9 o'clock in the morning and you're in a room or a ward with lots of other people who are having the same surgery or the same procedure on the same day. The nurse comes in and gets you changed into a medical gown, and then you essentially wait for it to be your turn. Then they call your name and wheel you in to see the anaesthetist who puts you to sleep. Once they've done that, they wheel you into the operating theatre where obviously they do the operation on your Achilles in my case. And it's pretty much over before you know it. I think it took about 30 to 45 minutes, and then they wake you up. You wake up with your cast on. Okay, recovery, the bit that I'm currently at now. So when you leave the hospital, they give you a load of cool stuff. They give you a load of drugs. They give you these socks which have essentially got tread on, So when you're on your crutches, you're not hobbling around without anything on your foot. So when you're partial weight bearing, these have got a little tread on so you don't slip, which is quite good. Give you a set of crutches, and I give you this guy. So this guy is for you to put your leg in, so when you have a shower, you don't get your wound and your bandages and your cast wet. I'm telling you, the first time you ever use this, it is the weirdest thing ever. It's just, oh God, it's just a pain in the ass. So I'm currently about 4 weeks post-op, and I've been through the range of no weight bearing at all, which is week 1, where I was in crutches completely, not being able to put my foot down. Week 2 was partial weight bearing, where you can put your foot down a little bit, but you have to walk very slowly so you don't damage it. Week 3 is full weight bearing, so you use your crutches, but you try to walk normally, which is a lot easier said than done because you're still in quite a bit of pain, and I was hobbling quite a lot. It is a slog to try and get back to sport, but mine wasn't perhaps as bad because mine was a removal of the plantaris and a debridement. But if you rupture it, you really got to be patient because you're in it for the long slog. It can take weeks and months to get back to sport. Some mistakes I made and tips for a better outcome. You've always got to seek your own answers. I do not think, looking back over the last 5 years, that I would have had an Achilles injury for such a long time. And when things aren't getting better, obviously you do get frustrated, but you've always got to put the emphasis on yourself to keep searching for different people to see if the rehab isn't working. In the last 5 years, I think I've probably spent about $5,000 on seeing different physios. It's been a fair amount of money. There was one point where I nearly completely gave up as well because I was so sick of doing rehab and it not leading anywhere that I remember ringing this physio that I was seeing at the time, saying, I'll be honest mate, I think I'm going to give up. Because I think with any injury, there has to be an end point where, you know, you've got to be fastidious with your rehab, but then there does need to be a point where, right, it is over and you're healed and you're fine. And because that point was never coming, I really got demoralised at one point and just nearly completely gave up. One scan that I would recommend anyone with an Achilles injury get, which I wish I'd have known about in the first instance, is what's called a UTC scan. Now, a UTC scan is better than an ultrasound scan because it detects pathologies in your Achilles and early signs of degeneration. It is quite a rare scan, but my one piece of advice would be to find a centre or a clinic that does a UTC scan, go and see them and get them to scan your Achilles about where things currently are. Interestingly though, out of all the physios I saw over the years, not one person suggested for me to go and have a UTC scan. It was just at the point where I was about to give up where I found out about this type of scan for your Achilles, and then I arranged it myself. So constantly seek out your own answers. A byproduct of injuries is weight. This is the heaviest I've been in 15 years probably. My normal weight used to fluctuate at about 98 to 100 kilograms. I'm pushing about 120 now. So something to bear in mind is your weight will naturally increase when you're injured. If you go from running several days a week to being sedentary for months on end, you're going to gain weight. So you just have to bear with it. Make sure your nutrition's as tight as it can be so you don't gain loads of weight, because it just puts immense pressure on your Achilles and makes things harder when you're trying to recover. Last thing is take things slow with your rehab. Perhaps cliche, but it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You do learn more about your injuries naturally if you have them. So what I'd suggest is you must give your rehab time. An Achilles is not a broken bone whereby once it's healed, it's healed. It's not like that at all. So you've got to give it time. So make sure when you're doing your rehab, after you've had your surgery, which is what I'm doing now, you give it the proper time and hopefully that'll work. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope this has been useful. I better go and water Gus, and until the next time.